I'm delighted to have as my guest today Dr. Tanja Mayer, who is a functional medicine doctor. She's part of my medical team, actually, and she specializes in women's health, and it's an area that has been so neglected. Welcome, Tanja.
Thank you, Alberto.
I know if I read the statistics, 3 out of 4 people who get Alzheimer's are women. 9 out of 10 persons who get this very strange diagnosis of fibromyalgia are women that nobody took seriously before because they thought it was hysterical, the women. Why has medicine been failing women so much?
Well, that's a really good question. I think, well, first of all, I think that women really don't take care about themselves so much because they care for the families, they care for the children. They're very often stressed with, also having to work, and stress, we know, compromises the immune system a lot. And then a lot of those problems come up, really. I think it's really, really stress related, especially women these days. They are so torn between their jobs and wanting to have a career and still, providing for their families. And that's, a lot of stress that they put on.
Yeah, tremendous. But I don't think Western medicine has helped much because until recently, all medications were tested on men and not on women because women were too variable. They had cycles and periods and babies, and so they would not make up good science.
Totally. Yeah. 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 That's a huge problem. We don't really have the right medication for women these days. A lot of women, they lack hormones, but then traditional Western medicine only has the synthetic hormones that they provide. So they really have to go on a search to find a functional medicine doctor who puts them onto the bioidentical hormones that can really help them and can lower also the risk for cancers and all that.
And you work with the bioidentical hormones. Oh, yeah, like this
A lot
in Germany.
in Germany.
I wish we had that more in America.
Yeah, again, but that's also not so common here in Germany, and I know for the rest of Europe, I think it's just the same. You really have to look for at mostly it's not even gynecologists that prescribe the bioidentical hormones, but it's the regular doctors who do.
Yeah.
So once the women end up with their gynecologist, they are put on the synthetic hormones, and they have those really horrible side effects.
Yeah, terrible. We don't have a synthetic uterus. Why have the synthetic hormones? For so long when women had emotional problems, they were dismissed as hysteria. And hysteria comes actually from the Greek. The word hysteria means a uterus that has gotten loose and is running around the body wildly. And the solution was a hysterectomy that would cure the hysteria, which is removing all of the woman's reproductive organs, and generally by men. And that men, would say to the woman, you don't need those organs anymore. You're not going to have any more babies. But you've never heard a doctor say to a man, you don't need those testicles anymore. You're done having children. Just take them off.
Yeah, they put all the weight on the women somehow, and as you say, we're not connected to those organs anymore. Even the uterus. A lot of women, they just think they can get rid of it when they're 50, when they don't need it anymore. But that it's also an energetic womb that is there supporting their energy system. That's not so much in women's minds, unfortunately, and not at all in doctors' minds. They just think, get it out, and then nothing can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is happening a lot also in Germany still.
A lot.
And in Europe.
Even more than
Than ever before. And same in America. It's extraordinary. The abuse of a woman's body. Well, in America, we have the problem that a woman is not able to make decisions about her body fully. But that's another topic that we can talk about. So I know that part of the work that we do together is to bridge energy medicine and science and Western science. Can you give us a little bit of your knowledge on that, how that can happen and what the benefits are?
When we look at science, we really, there is so much science out there to benefit people, to help them lead a healthy life and to live a long and healthy life. And there is so many great new products, like really supplements and medical medicine out there that helps people become really that healthy person so that they can age and really live very healthy until the very end of their lives. And the bridging with the energy medicine, for me, that's just the really fantastic thing. I could not live without the energy medicine because we need to, really release our trauma, upgrade our emotional energy body, again, to live this long and healthy life.
Yeah. Well, medicine classically rejects the emotions. They think they're not important. It's good if you're calm, if you de-stress, but your emotions, just get over it. Here, we'll medicate that too. But the energy medicine, we know that emotions create health or create disease. That your mind will kill you or will heal you, and this is where dealing with toxic emotions and trauma is so valuable. It's so important. And how do you integrate that with your medical practice?
Well, I really integrate both with any patient that comes to me. So if I feel that we need to work more on the emotional, energetic level, I will say that to my patients, and I, let them lie on the massage table, and I do the shamanic energy work because to help them relax, to help them release trauma, because sometimes people need to de-stress first before I can even talk to them about possible other interventions or about food change. You know how people are very stressed when it comes to changing their diet. So sometimes it's good to work on the emotional, energetic level before, release trauma, de-stress them, and then we can talk about what is now the healthy nutrition that you really need, the phytonutrients that are so beneficial.
Phytonutrients. What does word phyto be?
Phyto comes from the plant.
Yeah, it's a plant-based nutrients. Absolutely. And you come from an area right near the Mediterranean where the longest lived people in the world are, and their food is full of phytonutrients, what we call phytochemicals, the plant-based nutrients. Oh, extraordinary. And this is what you're shifting your patients towards, huh?
Exactly. I try, like to shift them, but again, diet is like a holy grail for many people. It's very hard for them to change, like rigid behaviors. And that is also rooted in trauma. That's what I feel, that if you take away their bread, Germans, if you take them away their bread, they feel they're going to starve immediately. So we have to dig deeper and find what is the trauma that is lying underneath there.
Yep. This is really good that you mentioned that because during the war that our grandparents fought in and they were involved with and they were raised in, bread was the only thing you had to eat. And then even our religion, our Western religion, is give us this day our daily bread. So when you take somebody's bread away, this is not only you incur their wrath, but the wrath of God.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And we know that our daily bread is killing us. It's turning into sugar as soon as it gets into our gut, right?
And we know from our Grow a New Body program how beneficial just the simple diet is, like plant-based diet. And then that's the hardest also to really convince people to shift towards that kind of diet. And but it's so important, especially nowadays, that a lot of the meat, a lot of the cheese has so many toxins in them. We're much better with this plant-based diet.
Yeah. Let's go back to hormones for a moment because, I'm very interested in the brain, like all of us should be in some way or another. But the brain is a hormone organ.
Yeah.
We think it's these electrical connections, but it's driven, manufactures all these hormones. And what's happening with our brains today? Can you give us a sense of how our brains are suffering from all of the toxins we're exposed to?
Yeah, our brains are really like a lot because it's fatty tissue, so a lot of toxins are stored in our brains, unfortunately. And also related to the hormones, it's so interesting because we have a lot of progesterone receptors in our brains, and most women lack of progesterone. So what happens is that their brain shrinks, actually. So, and this is also, like that our brains are not that healthy anymore. Because we lack the hormones, we have the ratio of estrogen and progesterone is like we have much more estrogen than progesterone, and that's what's so unhealthy. And then the estrogen comes from all the estrogen like
The food.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Soybeans and
E-
exactly.
Exactly, and that's our biggest problem.
But I hear that men also need a little bit of estrogen.
They need progesterone.
Sorry, not estrogen.
They need progesterone. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, their brains do need that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because our brains shrink as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and many of the men I know, their brains have shrunk, especially the politicians we have, beyond repair in America. But we need a little bit of progesterone as well, which we don't get actually, because we think that's a woman's
Exactly.
supplement. Yeah.
And also, the women need a little bit of testosterone as well, and that's what they need for their bone health, actually. Because our problem with osteoporosis is really very often that we lack testosterone, women. And again, women think we don't need that, but yes, we do need that to build really healthy bones.
And how could women get testosterone? And I know that you produce it if you exercise more, for example. What other source? Are there any food sources or recommendations you have for women to naturally increase their testosterone? What?
Well, natural increasing is really to do to do training, to build muscle mass.
Yeah.
That is a really good way. Another way, we do have supplements, the DHEA.
Which one?
DHEA.
DHEA. That's the precursor for many of these.
That's a precursor, especially for testosterone. Exactly. So if we take that and that is available, we're building also testosterone. And again, I have a lot of patients that I just put on DHEA, and then all their osteoporosis problem disappear.
So yeah, we can save a lot of money trying to replace bones and joints that wear down when we could simply correct it with our food or with supplements.
Exactly. Yeah. And movement.
And movement and strength. Yeah, particularly as we get older, I think. Yes, strength training is really muscle. It's called sarcopenia, no? The loss of muscle that happens with older age. You can weigh the same thing as your weight can be the same as when you were in school, but you have half of the muscle mass.
Exactly. I just heard actually from a medical student that they want to, like the skin is an organ, and now they want to have muscle also as an organ. So because they see it's so important, and the more muscle mass you have, the healthier you're gonna live, and the less, when it just decreases with age,
Yeah.
the less healthy you're gonna be, really.
Then you mentioned something that I was really interested in, which is that the brain is mostly fat. And we store toxins in fat. Do we store that in the body also?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
How does that work? Because it's
Well, we have fatty mass everywhere, like even if you're, slim, but between your organs, you also have fatty masses. So this is where most of the fats are lipophils. So they're stored, they're like fat thin. So they're stored in the fat mass. Yeah, that is
including the brain. Right.
including the brain. Exactly. Yeah.
So when you go into ketosis, ketosis is big right now, the ketogenic diets, you start burning fat for fuel. Are you burning also brains? This is mostly fat, right?
No, you're really just burning your old rancid fat.
Uh-huh.
And then when you do the right ketogenic diet, you want to make sure that you refill with good fats.
Right.
So that is so important that you take the good fats.
The clean fat, like this toxic oiled fat is full of toxins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how you can restore, like your brain and the certain, those important areas in your brain, the hippocampus. That is all your emotional memory and all that. That is so important to get the good and healthy fats in the body. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you suggest for us in terms of maintaining our health? Can you give us one or two fundamental suggestions? You mentioned strength training. You mentioned the precursors for hormones. We talked about the plant-based diet, how important that is. Anything else that comes to mind?
Well, I would say, having some kind of meditation or breath, really just to calm down your nervous system also from time to time, because we tend to be really hectic and stress around, so that we can really also get into the parasympathetic nervous system more than the sympathetic
Relaxation response.
realization. That is so important also to be able to detox. It's all like, everything is connected in our bodies. So I think that is really key also. Be outside in the sun. Also the sun. We don't get enough. I think that is something really important. We don't get enough sun. And I just read a study recently that almost nobody has the right amount of vitamin D in their bodies these days, even if we're out in the sun. That is a big problem also.
Yeah, people think that they can go for a little walk with only their face exposed to sunlight and they're going to get enough vitamin D
Yeah.
when it's full of sunscreen also.
So that would also be something, really checking your vitamin D levels. I think from all the supplements, apart from really getting good sources of omega-3, the vitamin D is key. That's not something that we get through our, like being outside in the sun or through nutrition. We're not getting that through regular sources.
Can we be healthy if we're also in some way such parasites on the earth, destroying the earth? Can we be healthy when the earth is not healthy?
No. I think that is a good key question. Yeah, I think we have to understand really that we are not separate from the earth, but we are the earth. And as long as we destroy the earth, we're destroying ourselves as well. Yeah.
That's why we call our summit the Earth Keeper Summit. So great to have you here, Dr. Tanja. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberto, and thank you for having me.